Shalom, beloved family. This is your girl Sophia Spiritualite, and we're here for another mini Bible study. We're going through Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, chapters 7 through 12. Here we go. This is Mark, chapter 8. We've already done Matthew and Luke 7 and 8, so we're catching up. This is Mark, chapter 8. All right. In those days, the multitude being very great, and having nothing to eat, Jesus called his disciples unto him, and saith unto them, I have compassion on the multitude, because they have now been with me 3 days, and have nothing to eat. And if I send them away fasting to their own houses, they will faint by the way, for divers of them came from far. And his disciples answered him, From whence can a man satisfy these men with bread here in the wilderness? And he asked them, how many loaves have ye? And they said, 7. And he commanded the people sit down on the ground. And he took the 7 loaves, gave thanks, and brake, and gave to his disciples to set before them. And they did set them before the people. And they had a few small fishes, and he also blessed, and commanded set them also before them. So they did eat, and were filled. And they took up the broken meat, and was left 7 baskets. And they said, and they that had eaten were about 4,000. And he sent them away. And straightway he entered into a ship with his disciples, and came into the parts of Dalman- Dalmanutha. And the Pharisees came forth, and began to question him, seeking of him a sign from heaven, tempting him. And he sighed deeply in his spirit, and saith, Why doth this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall be no sign given unto this generation. And he left them, entering into the ship, and departed to the other side. Now the disciples had forgotten to take the bread, neither they had neither had they in the ship with them more than 1 loaf. And he charged them, saying, Take heed, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, and the leaven of Herod, and of the leaven of Herod. And they reasoned among themselves, saying, It is because we have no bread. And when Jesus knew it, he saith unto them, Why reason ye, because ye have no bread? Perceive ye not, neither understand? Have ye your heart yet hardened? Having eyes see ye not, having ears hear ye not, and do ye not remember? When I brake the 5 loaves among the 5,000, how many baskets full of fragments ye took up? They say unto him, 12. And when the 7 among 4,000, how many baskets full of fragments took ye up? And they said, 7. And he said unto them, How is it that ye do not understand? And he came to Bethesda, and they bring unto him a blind man. They bring a blind man unto him, and besought him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand, and led him out of the town. And when he had spit on his eyes, and put his hands upon him, he asked him if he saw aught. And he looked up and said, I see men as trees walking. After that he put his hands again upon his eyes, and made him look up. And he was restored, and saw every man clearly. And he sent him away to his house, saying, Neither go into the town, nor tell it to any in the town. And Jesus went out, and his disciples, into the towns of Caesarea Philippi. And by the way, he asked his disciples, saying unto them, Whom do men say that I am? And he answered, John the Baptist, but some say Elias, and others one of the prophets. And he saith unto them, But whom say ye that I am? And Peter answereth and saith unto him, Thou art the Christ. And he charged them that they should tell no man of him. And he began to teach them that the Son of Man must suffer many things, and be rejected of the elders and of the chief priests and scribes, and be killed, and after 3 days rise again. And he spake that saying openly. And Peter took him, and began to rebuke him. But when the disciples had turned about, and looking on But when he turned about and looking on his disciples, he rebuked Peter, saying, Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest not the things that be of God, but the things that be of men. And when he called the people unto him with his disciples also, he said unto them, Whosoever will come after me, let him deny himself, and take up his cross, and follow me. For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever shall lose his life for my sake and the gospel's, the same shall save it. For what shall it profit a man if he shall gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? Whosoever therefore shall be ashamed of me and of my words in this adulterous and sinful generation, of him shall the Son of Man be ashamed, when he cometh in the glory of his Father with the holy angels. Selah. So, man, this chapter is something else. Again, this is my commentary. You're free to turn it off and do what you're going to do. But again, these disciples act like they never heard this man speak before. I guess I can understand, like, when you just get people off the street, right, who just have faith. You just get the people who just, you tell them to come and follow me, and they come. You're getting people off the street. You're getting the two-thirds. And just imagine, like, some random person saying, leave everything you got and come and follow me. And you were, and it wasn't just the 12 disciples, it was way more than that. But it was the core 12, right? Representing the 12 tribes or whatever. So it's like, you get people who just don't, that haven't had all of the training that Yahweh Shai had. So I can understand it, but it's just so, like, unbelievable that by now, them, watching him do all of this stuff, and you got him right there teaching and talking to you and being annoyed, then um they still don't understand. So this first part of the story, um or the chapter, the turning of the bread into the feeding the multitudes, that's, I think that's what this the title they give it. This is very interesting because it's good to go back and see how he did this. And I think there's one of the other authors turns it a little bit different, but this doesn't have as many of the details, like the fact that he put them in groups of 50, that he turned to the heavens and all that stuff. So Mark is kind of like, I noticed that he does have stories that have more details, but some of the more, like, detailed stuff, he doesn't touch on. Like, he had that specific word that Yahweh Shai said in chapter 7 when he opened up the man's ears, but that's the only, like, sort of specific thing that he had. So I don't know if they took it out, or if just Mark was just not, he remembered certain things and they were really important to him, like eating. It seems like everything related to food and eating, Mark goes in, like, heavy with the details, like or the service of the people. He goes into pretty heavy details, because that's just like in chapter 7, where he's talking about how even the crumbs, the dogs get the crumbs from the table. Like, it seemed like he is definitely one of those people that's like fat boy hungry. You know what I mean? Like, so he gonna remember everything related to food specifically. That's seems like his detail. So, let's look at verse 12, Mark 8, verse 12. It says, Why doth this generation seek after a sign? Verily I say unto you, there shall be no sign given unto this generation. Well, I think that's interesting, because if you look back, I'm sorry, I should start with verse 11. And the Pharisees came forth and began to question him, seeking of him a sign from heaven. Okay, so this is the thing. The sign from heaven they were seeking was a celestial sign, not necessarily for him to do some kind of miracle right there. They want to know, hey, where's the planet that represents you? Because remember, building on our information here, all of Abraham's seed was into astrology. So they knew that when a certain astrological sign came up, that is what would signify certain things happening. And so they knew the sign had come up when Jesus was born. They're fully aware. Okay, this is kind of like he said it. This is kind of like a temptation. They're fully aware an astrological sign came up when Yahweh was born. They're fully aware of that. So they're telling him basically to do something like we heard in the book of Jasher, where the guy stopped, this kept the sun, the moon in a certain house so he could win the battle. They wanted him to do something like that, something that was the Most High said that could not be done again. They wanted something like that, and they wanted him to do it right there on spot. And he said, you're not going to get a sign. This generation is not going to be given a celestial sign. This wicked generation. That was back then. So, co- consequently, that tells me that our generation, the last generation, will be given a sign. And all praises to the Most High, we were just given a sign, something that's never happened on the whole planet. That conjunction of Uranus, North Node, and Mars has never happened. I take that's probably a sign. They don't even know what's going to happen. That's they have no idea because everything in astrology is based on what has happened before. They don't have any idea what's going to happen because this has never happened before. Never happened on this planet. So we just been given a sign that the Pharisees would not be given. I just want to point that out. Some people who think that looking at astrology is not looking at the day-to-day astrology is not useful. I thought I would point that out. And let's see. Then we get to the bottom here, chapter of verses 17 through 19. Um this is actually pretty funny because they really don't understand. Like there were 12 baskets of bread left, right, for the 12 tribes. We understand that. There was seven fragments of um there were seven baskets of fragments left from the fish, right? And so the 12 tribes and the number seven is perfection. And they didn't understand the five into the 12 and the seven baskets left. They didn't understand it. They really didn't understand. And they don't even Mark is just like, man, this guy's chastising us again. We still don't get it. They don't because it's I in now I don't know Yahweh Shai like that. So in my assessment of it, he's pointing out that the numbers have significance and they don't understand that numbers have significance. They're still trying to wrap their mind around probably, the fact that he just went on the Pharisees in hard. He went on them hard. Okay, so anyway, and maybe other people have deeper meanings into it, but um, I just don't. So much of the Bible has been changed, and it bothers me to go too deep into it. I'm just looking at kind of like surface things that I can apply to how my life is going every day, right? Okay, so okay, verse 29. This is important. Peter says to him that thou art the Christ. The Christ is in office. Somebody else pointed out that Moses was in office. I would also say that Noah was in office. Melchizedek was in office. All of these things were offices. Different people held these positions. Why? I mean, even if you look at the book of remembrance of Melchizedek, he had a different name. He had a name that he had, which was Melchizedek, but nobody called him that. Everybody called him Shem. Why would that be? Because I think that all of our names are offices, which is why people had particular names in a particular way. So we have a name that people call us, but it's kind of like, is that the name of your office? So, for example, perfect example is my name. I call myself Sophia Spiritualite. I'm formerly known as Hotep Sophia. When I was Hotep Sophia, it was a message of peace, Hotep, and Sophia, wisdom, peace and wisdom. That was my office. My office was peace and wisdom. As a spiritualite, as a wisdom spiritualite, basically spiritualite is a child of light, a child of spirit and light, really is the way I look at it. It's or the indwelling of wisdom, the indwelling of wisdom within spirit and light, more so I think I would describe it as. That's a whole different kind of office, like different peoples are spiritualites. It's, because spiritualite is a title. So, just like Sophia is a title, like my whole name is a title. Like it just is. I took on the name of my mother, Sophia, wisdom, right? Wisdom is our mother. I took on it. I took on the name of Sophia way before I got into this walk. I was Hotep Sophia for a long time. I had already taken on peace and wisdom. And when I came to people, I came in peace and I tried to impart as much wisdom as I could. Now I have to bring the peace. I still have the peace. The peace is still there, but it's done as it's more so as setting myself up as a house of wisdom, a spiritual and light, which is kind of like it's kind of like the Urim and the Thummim, like the way that I describe it. It's like the house of wisdom through the light of the Urim and the Thummim, the astrology and the tarot. That's how it comes together. For me, I'm just saying this right now. I had no idea what any of this stuff means. I just said, "Oh, I'm going to change my name to Sophia Spiritualite because it more reflects where I'm going in my walk right now." And that's what I do. So a lot of people don't understand that whole taking on of a name, and most names being an office, especially the way that you it's a title, and I don't know why it's okay for people to use titles to describe themselves, because a title, especially if it's a title that you give yourself or that is given to you, it more reflects where you are. So you shouldn't hold on to certain names like so hard, like especially if the names don't reflect who you are right now. Because like I do with the prayers, right? I say, we want to give respect to the angels because they're ascending up the tree of life. So as you ascend, you're going to get a new name. As you ascend, you're going to get a new name. The Most High is going to give you a name. It's going to be a new name for you. And so every time you ascend, you get a new name. I don't know why this is like controversial, but it seems like people are like, you should always be the same. Now, of course, when you get into the earthly part of it, the branding and all of that, that's a totally different thing. But as far as your personal relationship, as you ascend, you will get a new name. You'll get a new office. The goal is not, see, this is the problem with wanting to go to the kingdom. The kingdom is not like a destination. It's a stop along the path. It's a stop on the tree of life. If you look at the tree of life, the kingdom is the first stop on the tree of life. You still got 10 other stops you need to get to the most high at the top of the tree of life in Keter. So if you get caught up on going to the kingdom, you miss the whole point of the tree of life that you have to ascend. So as you move up, somebody else moves up into your place and your title. The next angel gets to move up. Everybody gets to move up. That's why I find it important to let the Most High know when the angels fulfill their mission with us so that they can ascend. As we, it's a process. Everything is in motion. This is the problem. Like, this is the problem. Everything is in motion. Once you get to a certain position, you have to keep moving. The universe is in motion. Sometimes the planets retrograde. Planets that don't retrograde, the sun and the moon do not retrograde. Everything else retrogrades. So, if you affiliate yourself with the sun, SON, Yahweh the Christ, then you don't go into retrograde. You're always moving forward. And so when you do go into retrograde, you automatically downgrade yourself from the position of the sun to some other lower planet position. And you want to keep yourself aligned with the sun and the motion of the sun. And the sun is always moving forward. The sun never moves backwards. And this is another reason why understanding the planets day to day can help you, because you can see that the sun, you in your mind, you will see the sun is always moving forward. The sun is always moving forward. And you'll be able to connect that with yourself. But if you don't understand that the sun is always moving forward, then you'll never be able to connect that with yourself. You won't be able to connect yourself to the universe. And then when Peter is the only one who says thou art the Christ, you will think that the Christ is Jesus Christ, not Jesus the Christ, and you will be stuck on worshiping the Christ when you're supposed to be the Christ. That's supposed to be, you're supposed to Tifereth, where the office of the Christ is a stop. You're supposed to get to that stop on the tree of life as you ascend up. That's not supposed to be where you stop. You're supposed greater things, greater. Anyway, I went on about that too long. Um, Here we go. This is at the bottom. Now he have Peter again. Now first, Peter's like, "Thou art the Christ." That was in verse 29. Then later on in the conversation, here we go. Jesus is telling them, look, it's about to be some heavy stuff going down. You're going to have to deal with this when I'm gone. I'm going to die. It's going to be a horrible death. This and that. He's telling them. And Peter was like, oh, nah, you ain't about to do that. Nah, you ain't going to leave us. What are you talking about? You can't say that. Who are you to say that? Now, Peter just said he was the Christ. Obviously, he didn't even know what the Christ meant. So he just said it. Then you have him right here that quick. The point of the matter is, in three verses, we don't know how long of a time this is, but that quick, a spirit jumped on him. That quick, a spirit jumped on him, and Yahweh rebuked him. That was really fast. Like that went from 0 to 100 in rapid time. So that's just to say, you could be looking at somebody right now, you can be following somebody right now, and they can have a spirit jump on them that quick. It's not like a slow process. This is just in the same conversation. The spirit jumped on him that quick. So that's just to point that out for people who don't know. The spirits can jump on you fast, right? Let's see. Here we go. Verse 37, and this will be the last thing I say. Or what shall a man give in exchange for his soul? This is a good question. What are you willing to exchange for your soul? Like, after this whole thing, Jesus did this miracle at the beginning of this chapter, turned to fed these 5,000. It was really more like 10,000 because it was women and children too. But he fed all of these people. He did all of this stuff. He is a lot of stuff that happened, right? And so after seeing all of this stuff now, the disciples, what are you willing to exchange for your soul? And people are still willing to exchange fame, fortune, whatever, even though they know the Christ can do miracles, which we are supposed to be made in the image of the Christ. We have Christ's mind. So the Christ can do miracles. Why do you have to? He didn't. Yahushua didn't give his soul up. He did not give his soul up to feed those 5,000 people. He did not sacrifice one drop of his soul, but he still fed the 5,000 people, and there was still an excess, and everybody was full and everybody was happy. So you don't have to sell your soul to get what you need. It's not a requirement. However, if you don't understand how to operate in the way that the Christ operates, then you will take the easy route out, let that demon that jumped on you spew out his whatever, and trade it for that immediate right now thing. Whereas you saw Jesus, he did that miracle fast. It wasn't the oh, sorry. It wasn't like forever that it took for him to do that, you know. They have been with me 3 days and have nothing to eat. So he had the people out there. They was having a good time learning and talking and joking and congregating amongst the people. And he felt bad, and they were because they were hungry. He didn't say, "Okay, wait, give me a week. I'm gonna figure out how to feed these these people, I gotta go and do some research. Let me look at my book and consult and, think and pray. No, he said, all right, listen, sit everybody down, start passing out the baskets. Where they even get all these baskets from? Next thing you know, everybody's got food. Then everybody's got bread. Then he takes the fish, he, gave thanks, quote unquote, broke it, start passing out the fish. Started passing it out. Baskets was coming out of from anywhere. Everybody. That's why I like the other account that tells you exactly how many groups they were in. But everybody ate. The point of the matter is he didn't have to consult a book. He just knew how to do it. He already had the information in him. He didn't have to sell his soul to feed those people. Now, do you not think Yahweh Shai ate? Do you not think he also said, "Dang, maybe I'm a little hungry too"? And we know Mark was hungry. We know Mark was hungry. I'm sorry to talk about my man Mark like that, but we know Mark was hungry because he documents this very, very astutely. So, um, oh my gosh, that's so funny. We know Mark was hungry. So, the point of the matter is, I'm sorry, getting back to the point. The point of the matter is, you don't have to sell your soul to get your needs met. People were hungry. Jesus fed them. People needed stuff. Nobody had to sell their soul for him to heal them. And that's how it is with the Most High. You don't have to sell your soul to be healed. And all this stuff is the thing is you have to have faith. You have to believe. And it only is going to take, see, because, a lot of people were going to Yahweh Shai as their last effort. They had no, like the woman who was bleeding and other stuff. There was no, they had nothing else left. They had to go to him. They had, like the woman in chapter 7 whose daughter had a demon and nobody would help her. Like they had no other place to turn. So all I'm saying is now, even in the story with the bread, Yahushua didn't, they had already said there was no other place for him to go. He didn't say that. He just said, I don't want to send these people away hungry. Yahushua was a true hospitalitarian, man. Hospitality is so important. He said, I don't want to send these people home hungry. I know they might faint on the way. We got to get these people some food. And the disciple said, well, how are we going to do this? We're in the wilderness. So he said, okay, well, what do we have? What are we working with? And they were working with something. See, everybody, back to the parable of the minas, the talents. Everybody has something. You have something. And you just have to figure out how to take that something and turn it into whatever it is you need to fulfill yourself. For me, I have a lot of intellectual talents, so I take my intellectual talents and I offer them and sell to fulfill my needs. That is the way that I interpret it. Everybody else can do whatever else they want, however else they feel about it, but I know where a lot of my talents lie, and so my thing is I want to use every talent I have in service of the Most High. And nowhere does it say, if again, it does not say that you have to be destitute while you serve the Most High, because they always had their taxes we haven't got to the part with the taxes stuff, but they always had their taxes paid. They always had food to eat when they were hungry. They always, they weren't destitute. They had shoes, whatever. They weren't destitute. They did leave, everything that they had to follow the Most High. And even that's even interesting if you look at some of the other organizations like the Essenes. I was reading about them last night, and when you join the Essene community, you had to actually give everything to them. Jesus didn't even make them give their stuff to him. They kept if they had stuff at home, their families could keep it. They just had to leave everything that they had and follow him. They probably had to travel pretty light too. So it's a different way. This is why I like the secret. This is where some of the secret organizations, I think they get it wrong because they want you to bring everything that you have and give it to them like they are God. No, the sacrifices of God are a broken and contrite heart. That is in Psalm 91. A broken and contrite heart, a broken spirit. That's all the Most High wants is a broken and contrite heart and a broken spirit. So, Anyway, I've done enough talking about this chapter. To the spirits who are here with us, you're invited to go in peace. To my beloved viewers, you're invited to be at peace. And always remember, the Most High is your peace. Shalom.